When I was young, I loved going to the Funfair. I would always go on all the rides and get sweets, but that all changed in one night. It was a Saturday night and me and my parents were going to a hotel for a couple of nights. On the way, I looked out my window and I saw a Funfair. I was jumping for joy inside and was begging my parents to let me go because I had never been before. They eventually gave in and said yes. We pulled into the car park and got out. I saw all the rides towering over us. I ran into the entrance with my parents running behind trying to keep up with me. The entrance queue was short, so we basically got in straight away. I wanted to go on everything, but we didn't have time, so I picked a selection. I first chose the Ferris wheel, and then the biggest roller coaster I'd ever seen. My mum was reluctant for me to go on at first, but she said okay, and I went on with my dad. As I was riding it, I looked down and saw a man stood completely still staring at my mum. This made me feel uncomfortable, but I just ignored it. The ride had finished and we got off and then chose the next ride, which was Navigator. This was my final ride before I left. When I sat down on it, my heart sank. I looked down and saw the man, but he wasn't looking at my mum this time. He was looking directly at me. I was insanely unnerved now, but despite all this I could make out some of his features. He was really tall, about 6'5", and he was really skinny and he was dressed in all black. After the ride we were leaving and the thought of that man was still in my mind, but it was fading away. After about 15 minutes into our drive, the incident had left my mind completely now, until we saw a hitchhiker in the road. It was pouring it down outside, so my dad let him in the back with me. As soon as he got in the car, I realised something. A cold chill ran up my spine as my heart was pumping faster than usual. It was the same man from the fair. I looked at him and he looked at me with a grin. He then reached his hand into his coat pocket. I didn't exactly know what it was, but I could guess it was a knife or some sort of weapon. And then he pulled something out, something I knew what it was. It was a switchblade. But before I could say anything, he grabbed my dad, and then I heard the noise of the knife, and if it wasn't for me kicking him out of the car, we would have crashed. We then stopped the car and called the police. We then ran up and pinned him to the floor as we heard sirens in the distance. The man tried to get up, but he wasn't quick enough. The police came and arrested him, but he gave me the most evil, sinister look I had ever seen as he was drove away. This will always be the scariest experience I've ever had, but I know I will never forget that look he gave me in the car. I was 15 years old when this took place, and I will never forget this. I was with my friends Tony, Glenn and Shona. We heard about an abandoned amusement park near us, so we decided to go check it out. When we got there, we turned on our flashlights, which illuminated the path in front of us. We decided it would be fun to explore the big abandoned bathroom, just because it was bigger. The stalls were all lined up on the left side. Me and Tony kept scaring Shona and Glenn, but at one point we heard a bang. They both accused us of trying to scare them again, but we swore we wasn't. And then we heard it again, and we realised it was coming from the stalls. We were nervous and excited at the same time. Shona and Glenn wanted to go, but we just thought they were serious pussies, so we stayed and listened for any more sounds. We then heard the loudest bang of them all, and even Tony was now wanting to go, but I stayed. There were no more sounds at all, so I decided it was time to go. But when I turned around, my heart dropped. Glenn was missing. We started moving looking for him, but we then heard a scream. It was Glenn. We found him in the room over with a stab wound in his shoulder. We ran over and punched the man holding him in the nose, sending him to the floor. We then took the opportunity to run out of the park. We ran down the road to Shona's house to call an ambulance and then the police. They both arrived in 33 minutes. The ambulance put Glenn on a stretcher and the police investigated the fair and found the man inside a ride hiding. They arrested him, and the police told us something shocking. That man was the reason the fair shut down, and he actually was wanted for murder of 14 people. We are just glad he is gone and that Glenn didn't make number 15. Hey guys, it's Horror King. This video is actually kind of a thank you video for finally reaching 100 subscribers. So I decided for a video I would do 2 Funfair horror stories, which I just did then. And so I don't need to mention it much in the description. I know I made some voice errors, but I'm not that bothered. And I hope you guys aren't that much bothered. So just focus on the stories, please. No comments about it. But yeah. Anyway, I thought I would do 2 scary Funfair horror stories and then a Q&A afterwards. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I put on a photo and on my story for people to ask me questions so I could answer them. And I have 12 questions down here. So I'm going to start reading them out one by one. So the first question I have is, why do you call yourself Horror King? Well, I chose the name Horror King because I wanted to make up a name, and I took inspiration from Kings of Horror, and because I also have a lot of knowledge about horror movies. Yeah. And then the next question I have is, what is your favourite movie of all time? My favourite movie is The Brothers Grimsby, which isn't a horror. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Sacha Baron Cohen or Ali G, but if you have, it's a movie with him and Mark Strong in it, and it's hilarious. It's a good comedy action. And then the next one is, what is your favourite horror movie of all time? My favourite horror movie is the original Halloween from 1978 by John Carpenter. What is your scariest experience? My scariest experience is when I almost died with appendicitis. Yeah, it's a different type of scary, because usual people's scariest experience is when they might say have knocks on their window or an intruder. But mine is, because it's a different type of scary, but I think you might be able to imagine the fear though. So I didn't know if I was going to die. I was scared because I have a big fear of injections, and I had loads. Had them like, I don't know, every 3 hours or something, a lot of times. And it was a really painful experience as well. But I'm glad it worked out and I survived. So yeah. And the next one is, how long have I had this channel for? Well, I've had this channel for 4 years now. I first made the channel on the 25th of January in 2015. My first video wasn't until the 13th of October that same year. And then why did I decide to do horror stories? I decided to do horror stories because I love Mr. Nightmare, and I thought I would try it to see if I got more views. Also as well, I guess I could count that as a free shout out for Mr. Nightmare. So if anybody have seen Mr. Nightmare, that's who I got his inspiration from, and if you haven't, I suggest you check out his channel and subscribe to him. He does amazing horror stories that are really well told. But yeah, go subscribe to Mr. Nightmare, and that is where I got my inspiration for horror stories from. Then the next question I have is, how many DVDs do I own? I have 256 DVDs in total. What is your top 5 favourite horror movies? Well, first of all, I do have a top 5, and they are, number 5 is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Then number 4 is It, the 2017 remake with Bill Skarsgård. Number 3 is the original Saw from 2004. Then number 2 is Insidious from 2010, ironically as well, by James Wan. And I already said number 1 is Halloween from 1978. And then the next question I have is, what is the scariest movie you have ever watched? The scariest movie I've ever watched is The Babadook. That is the only horror movie where I turned it off because I was just getting too scared. And I might call myself Horror King, but I do get scared at things at points. And the next question I've got is, What is your highest view count? My highest view count is 1,648. And the next one I have is, do you like any other movie genres? I do. I like action, I like superhero, I like comedy and thriller and crime. So I like stuff like Avengers Infinity War, I like Grimsby, I like Home Alone, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, or Deadpool. And then my next question is, what is your favourite TV show / series? Well, my favourite TV series is Stranger Things. If you haven't watched that, it stars Finn Wolfhard, who was also in It. It is an amazing TV series. The third season is coming out this year, I think, this summer. I don't know. If you guys know, please tell me, because I really want to know when it's coming out. But I've seen both seasons. They're amazing. It's really interesting. And it's kind of funny at times as well. But apart from that, it's just interesting to watch. It's intriguing. Good action. It's good, sometimes emotional. Good kind of horror mixed into it, and good thriller. I think it's an incredible series. And then my favourite TV show is The Big Bang Theory. Don't know if you guys have heard of that, but that is a comedy show. I laugh at that so many times. I'm kind of sad that 12 is the last season, even though it has been going on since 2007. It's been going on for 12 years. I think. Yeah, 12 years. But yeah. And surprisingly, that is all the questions I have. I know this could have been short, but either way I still did it. So I hope to reach more subscribers as well. Yeah, again, apologies for any errors I made with my voice. I know I made them when I was reading the questions and answers. But yeah, so they were the questions I had. That was the Q&A, and I hope you enjoyed the 2 stories at the beginning. As I said, my next horror stories will be 4 true horror stories that took place in the forest. So you guys can look forward to that. I don't know when I will be uploading it. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I will put them in the description. Go follow me that, and go add me on Snapchat. I will post on Instagram, on my both Instagrams, when I will be releasing it. Yeah, and as well, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like my videos, obviously view them, and then turn on post notifications. And then that is all really I have to say, apart from thank you for helping me get to 100 subscribers. Hope you enjoy my new horror stories, and hope you enjoy my channel. And yeah, thank you for everything, guys. Goodbye.